Hello, Guardians. It is Ebontis, and today, instead of a Lost Sector video, I did want to catch you guys up as we have a very large TWAB, so I'm going to be going over this thing just with my live reactions, and we also have Solstice of Heroes coming around the corner. If you guys are, used to the Bungie trend of things, Solstice of Heroes is their summer event. You got some armor glows and things like that. I'll do guides next week when things drop with regards to the best way to get the armor and upgrade those things. That stuff will come a little bit later, but let's just go over the TWAB all together. So it is July 1st. Happy halfway through the year to you guys. We are halfway through 2021, which is crazy. It's almost time for a celebration. Earlier this week, Guardians pushed back through against the Endless Night. If you guys haven't played the Override and Expunge missions for this week, for June 29th, please go do that. Some cool story stuff going on, and it seems like some resolution of some kind will be coming soon. But basically, that seems to have wrapped the current piece of the story. There may be more towards epilogue towards the end of the season, but as of right now, we are kind of at a culmination of the current events, and then we've got some downtime before the end of the season. And what is going to be part of that downtime? It is going to be Solstice of Heroes. So this is usually the summer seasonal event. You guys can see the armor here. I'm not going to play the video. You guys should probably go do that and check it out. But the armor is all the stuff with the glows on it. And usually the way it works is you're going to get a rare set of armor, which is like blue. You're going to do certain objectives on each piece of armor. When all of the objectives are done, you'll upgrade that to legendary. And then you can go through the legendary. You do all the objectives on those. Usually takes a little bit longer. Upgrade all those to like basically a upgraded version of legendary, usually involving better stats. And then there are different activities at the highest end that you'll have to be able to do to actually masterwork them. The nice thing is these are going to be glows. Last year when they did this, the white glow on the armor was the one you had to earn. And then as you guys can see, the colored glows were the ones from the actual Eververse store. So you actually could be able to potentially buy the glow that has the colors to it and not really have to participate too much in the event, or you can go through the progress, do the white stuff. We'll get more details once we actually get in there, but that's generally how it works. A big party in the tower isn't the only thing going on. Ava Levante returns, bringing home new armor for Hunters, Titans, and Warlocks. As you upgrade your sets, you'll once again be able to earn some magnificent white glows to adorn your armor with, kind of same as last year. If you have a taste for the elements, Eververse will offer you universal ornament bundles for purchase, which will shine brightly depending on your subclass. So you guys can see if you're wearing a solar subclass, the solar glow will happen. If you're wearing a void subclass, arc subclass, and I think it's a darker blue for the stasis subclass. But basically the ornaments will be the colored glow ornaments. And those you can literally equip to anything because they will work as ornaments. If you want the actual white glowing armor, those are the ones that you're actually going to have to go through and earn. So you guys can see a couple backsides back here. You got the cloak, the robe, and of course the Titan mark and everything. So you got your options. Fairly cool looking. Not going to be like, there's some cool looks to these. We got a little bit of a mohawk thing going on these two up top. You got a big mohawk up here, kind of a fiery mohawk up here, and kind of the brushed back mohawk on that one. Definitely got some options. Those things are very glowy in that picture, so it's probably not quite that bright. We do also have a new shotgun coming. This will be, I have a name of it somewhere on another page. It is called, one second, joys of doing this thing live, Compass Rose. So it is a shotgun. I don't know the frame. It is facing to the right, which if I check dim, I think that's a kinetic weapon. If it's facing to the right versus the left, you usually know. It is an energy shotgun, so it will be an energy shotgun as the icon they actually show, which I'll get to a little bit later, is facing to the right. So I don't know which energy type, but it will be an energy shotgun. Looks fairly cool. I'm sure it takes shaders well. We have a lot of shotguns, so I don't know if this is too mind-breaking, but it's a new one. Looks kind of cool. Next week has quite a bit going on. A larger than usual mid-season sandbox update, Vault of Glass master difficulty, and more. So next week does have a lot. So this will be a longer video. I'm going to try and timestamp it as best as I can. So we'll go from here. Fate Breakers. Raids fall squarely into the in-game space of Destiny, providing aspirational content for fire teams of 6 to conquer. Once you've climbed the mountain and planted your flag, you may find yourself asking, what's next? Well, I'm here today to tell you that you haven't summoned into the mountain yet. If you truly wish to call yourself a Master of Vault of Glass, you'll be challenged to earn that respect. Beginning Tuesday, Vault of Glass Master difficulty will become available to all players. So, looks like we've got similar looking. I can't tell if the armor is actually different or if you just wear the full set with a shader. This is what we got going on. It does look somewhat similar to what I remember before, so I think this might be the same. I don't have a full set, so I'd have to question. How do you enter? When signing in on Tuesday, Vault of Glass will offer a Master difficulty option to launch for you and your fire team. While there is no minimum power required to enter, unlike Grandmasters, you can go in at any level, enemies will be at 1350 power, so you'll want to earn some Pinnacle power and raise your artifact level before attempting a run. Of course, people are going to try this at lower and lower power level. The closer, like if you are currently, 1310 is your base when you do your powerfuls. Your Pinnacles will take you to 1310 20 for gear score, and then say your artifact's 15. So if you were 1320 plus 15 artifact, you'd be 1335. 15 below is still going to hurt a little bit, but again, it's going to be manageable. If you were like 1341, it's that like within 10 delta, then you would probably start seeing this thing to be a bit more manageable. So the more time you spend through this season and however long next season goes, you might have some time to attack master difficulty once you level up a bit more. Depends on if you want to, but it's going to be there. What can you earn? First up, Master Vault of Glass unlocks the final triumphs required for the Fate Breaker seal and the title. Once completed, players may equip their in-game title and purchase the Bungie Rewards pin if they desire. So you have to get the Fate Breaker seal, you're going to have to do Masters. So you're going to have to do the harder difficulty. Also, does look like we're going to be looking at a new ship. Now, I got to be honest, of all the ships in the game, I don't know if I'm ready for Master Vault of Glass. I'm going to have to see if somebody can help me through it. But this is one of the coolest looking ships. Now, I know it's probably just like, you got your little little pointy things on each end, but the fact that they're just like made of giant crystals on each side, it's a really unique looking ship on the side. So I got to be honest, that's actually tempting. I don't know if I'll be able to get to it, but it is fairly cool. Second, Master Vault of Glass will also introduce Time Lost weapons to Destiny. Time Lost weapons can be comparable to Adept weaponry from Grandmaster Nightfalls or Flawless Trials passages, but offer an additional perk in columns 3 and 4 for slightly more customization. So normally if you pull up a weapon, you'll have like, your first 3, maybe like 3 different scopes, 2 different reload or clip options generally, and then 2 perk rolls. Now you're going to have like 1 perk and 1 perk. Now you're going to have like 3, 2, and then 2 perks in the 3rd column and 2 perks in the 4th column. It's going to help you be able to get that, desired roll much quicker because you're going to have options to pick between. And maybe you get a really cool one that has a lot of options on both. So complete Vault of Glass challenges in master difficulty of the activity, and you will be rewarded. Each week will feature a specific time loss weapon for you to hunt, rotating alongside the available challenges. Once you've earned a time loss weapon, you may purchase additional rolls from the chest at the end of the raid on master difficulty using Spoils of Conquest. I'm sure that's not going to be cheap, but if you earn it once, then your spoils that you earn in probably normal difficulty, you'd have to, you could earn them in normal, and then you'd go back through in master difficulty and then cash all those tokens in. So note that these will be at a higher price than normal version. As expected, I hadn't read that sentence yet, but that's not surprising. Please note, weekly reward lockouts are shared between both normal and master difficulties on Vaults of Glass. That means encounters, challenges, and hidden chests will only award gear the first time you complete them in either activity each week. They must complete it at master difficulty first to earn time loss weapons and stat-focused armor. So if you are going to go for these rolls, you have to do master first. You can't go through a normal run, get your loot, and then go back to master and get your loot. It seems like if you want master loot from Vault of Glass, you just have to go straight to master. Now, I don't know if you'll get double drops, but you are going to get the higher stat focus, the time lost weapons. So it is going to be beneficial for you to just go straight into master if you're at that level every week. Lastly, armor from the master difficulty of Vault of Glass will focus on specific stats rotating each week. If you're hunting a Prime Zealot helm with a high spike in intellect, master difficulty will give you a greater chances for that distribution you're looking for. Get ready for a fight. This won't be a walk in the park if you haven't dipped your toes into Destiny 2's in-game before. Enemies will be tougher. They'll be looking to put you down with more aggression. A few more champions will be appearing to defend the vault. More modifiers will be active, forcing you to... Now we got modifiers and a master raid. That is going to be interesting. Now, if it is master modifiers the way Nightfalls work, you guys can probably go through and look and see what some of those are going to be like. I don't imagine they're going to do what they did with the old raids where you had some weird raid modifiers. But you can expect master with potentially locked loadouts. That's going to be weird alone. Locked loadouts in a raid, you're going to really have to talk with your team and make sure people have things covered. It's going to be very, very interesting. More modifiers will be active, forcing you to think on your feet and come prepared. If you're looking to increase your power, make sure to complete weekly milestones for Pinnacle rewards. Yes, One way to do that is Iron Banner, active right now. Yeah, do your Iron Banner bounties this week if you're trying to get Pinnacle gear to try and max out your gear score. Atheon will be seeing you next week. Good luck to all fire teams to attempt their first Master 8. Master is going to be a challenge. Now, there's some people sitting at like 1335, 1340. They probably understand the mechanics. They run Master and Grandmasters all the time. They'll probably be okay. For the average person, this is going to be pretty brutal, I can imagine. So your average team is not going to get through your random pickup and carries. It's going to be interesting to see how quickly this is like broken down and how long the challenge actually lasts for a lot of people. It's going to be rough. They haven't done high difficulty in a raid in a very long time, so I will see how this goes. Shifting Sands mid-season sandbox update. Over the last few seasons, we've seen some pretty big changes in the Destiny 2 sandbox. Aggressive hand cannons jumping into the spotlight of PvP, rocket launchers being good for PvE. Yep. So, Chris Proctor, the weapon feature lead, he said, like I said, like to set some expectations. Normally, we wouldn't make large changes in a mid-season patch, but with a handful of weapons sucking all the air out of the room, we've decided to bring some changes originally planned for Season 15 into next week's update. We'll follow this with a big set of changes in Season 15. Moving the changes up to Season of the Splicer also gives us the option to do some reactive tuning to Season 15's mid-season patch. So you guys can see the time it takes to get some of these weapon cycles going. This mid-season patch, even if it isn't quite done correctly, won't be fixed until mid-season 15. Whatever happens at the start of Season 15, it's going to be a while if that changes have to happen too. All in all, we'll continue to make changes outside of seasonal updates when we can, but they won't typically be this large or numerous. So without further ado, the big ticket items for PvP are, no surprise, shotguns, 120 RPM hand cannons, Dead Man's Tale. Combine these three dominate all forms of PvP, particularly trials. We also have been getting large amounts of feedback about special weapon use in Crucible. This will be the first step towards addressing these players. I'll be very curious if they knock grenade launchers down, but just have to see. All right. Oh, and we can't forget about Sleeper and PvE too. That one that we were told is coming. Nice to see it's listed. Intended special weapon rules in PvP. Most special weapons should have one situation where they dominate, where they're a dominant choice. If caught outside of this, you should be at a disadvantage. Moving towards these roles is a work in progress. Some weapons are not where they want them to be, and we made some changes in Season of the Splicer that we expect to need more adjustments later on. Note, special ammo abundance in PvP distorts these roles, allowing play that wouldn't be possible otherwise. So here's some things we're looking to address. The intended role for each special weapon they want it to fill. Sniper rifles engage at long range with aiming skill when not already under fire. Shotguns engaging at point blank range using skill at movement or positioning to get close enough to get a 1 or 2 hit elimination. Fusion rifles engaging at mid range but with careful positioning and pre-charging around cover required for success. Trace rifles, strong at close to mid-range and at the cost of not being a one-hit elimination, making it possible to be outplayed by skillful primary users. Grenade launchers, useful for weakening an opponent, getting damage around corners with bounces, or getting a one-hit elimination with a direct impact. They actually want that to be a thing. Some people might argue with that. At the cost of projectile travel time and being in a bad place if you miss your shot with a single round magazine. And that is the thing. If you do whiff your grenade launcher, you're pretty much open for the kill. If you get the kill, though, cool. So I'll be curious. That's going to go over this part right here, specifically the grenade launchers, is going to go over very interestingly with some. I'll be curious to see the feedback about that. Let's talk about some weapons. Shotguns are very dominant in PvP by any measure and don't allow much counterplay with primary weapons, particularly close-range primaries like sidearms and SMGs. We see frequent player feedback about their prevalence in PvP and how much they make it difficult to use various weapon archetypes that otherwise would feel good against players without shotguns. We want them to excel in a narrower niche than they do currently. So, this change aims to retain the reliable one-hit elimination, but at closer range, and push them to be slightly rangier than currently at getting 2-hit eliminations. Okay, that's interesting. As with our intent for all special weapons, if a player is caught out of position with a shotgun, they should be at a clear disadvantage. So, with the ability to quickly follow up rising in importance, we expect faster firing shotguns to eat into aggressive shotgun dominance, and other special weapons to be more viable. So they increase the aggressive frame shotgun cone angle from 4.0 to 4.25 degrees. Basically, that means like the spread of the bullets from like 4 degrees to 4.25. But they've talked about like fractions of a degree do mean a lot in this game, because if it's like 4 degrees here and it starts to spread, it just goes out much quicker. Reduced shotgun damage fall off minimum by 2 meters. So damage fall off for shotguns, the minimum distance that's going to fall off is sooner. Increase the shotgun damage fall off max by 2 meters. So the minimum fall off, like when the damage starts falling off, is going to be, if I'm here, see if I can do this. say I'm here. Somebody's this far away from me. My shotgun damage is going to start to fall off here instead of out here. So I've got to be closer to them. But as they mentioned, the 2-shot version of a shotgun, say rapid fire, for example, I'm going to have a longer range that it still does some damage. So, and potentially will 2-tap out here, but the 1-tap potentially is going to have to be closer. Fallout, I'm sorry in advance, you are going to have a whole bunch of testing to do, buddy. Follow him, by the way, if you don't. His shotgun videos are crazy, and this one is going to be basically you start from scratch, I would imagine. Select shotguns are not affected. Aggressive 120 hand cannons were adjusted in Season of the Splicer, but this didn't make enough of a difference. We believe they're still too rangy and benefit way too much from small damage buff 2-tapping. It's tricky. It's tricky. Perk of a live video. Because they're now not much difference from their pre-Beyond Light form. They already had better range in a 2-tap with Rampage, but people have latched onto their ease of 2 and 2-tapping potential since the buff in Beyond Light and the new 120 in Season of the Chosen encouraged people to try them out. With this change, we expect other primaries to become more viable where 120s ate their lunch, including adaptive hand cannons, pulses, scouts, auto rifles, while keeping 120s advantage of the hard-hitting peak shooting at range. They reduce the precision damage multiplier from 1.8 to 1.6, preventing a 10% damage bonus from allowing 2-tapping in PvP. So no longer 2-tapping in PvP. That's a thing. Even with like a damage buff of say like Rampage or Kill Clip or something along those lines, that's going to change up some people's rolls. Reduce aim assist minimum fall off distance by 1 to 2 meters depending on the range stat. Reduce the damage minimum fall off by 1 meter. This reduces their damage fall off advantage over other hand cannons to 1 meter. As usual, this is 1 meter before the zoom scale. Some of this stuff is even technical for me that I'm not going to try and explain right now, but basically it just means their damage is going to fall off a little sooner. And the precision multiplier will not be quite as high, so 2-tapping with damage bonuses going to be a little harder to 2-tap. Basically, a single kill clip stack or like a single rampage stack probably won't kill clip. If you have like multi-kill clip somehow, which I don't even think they come with, that's going to be a little harder. But it's going to be harder to 2-tap for sure. Range is going to be a little less. We'll just see if it's enough. They also changed to a few perks. Drop mag can no longer roll on new drops of weapons. We'll have functionality changed later. So drop mag is just fading away. There's a change coming next season that requires adjusting this, and some perks with similar functionality. More on that later. So drop mag, basically, if you drop, like you reload, you might get a faster reload. I think it's an empty clip, if I remember correctly, but that's going to change more later, so I wouldn't focus too much on that at the moment. Pulse monitor fixed an issue where the handling bonus was no longer applying. Rewind rounds, fixing an issue where the perk would not trigger if the last shot in a magazine missed, or if the player reloaded another weapon before firing the final shot. Reservoir burst, that's a pulse rifle one, I think. We've seen the complaints about the detonation on kills doesn't feel that reliable or impactful, so this has been updated with the same consistency and speed fix as Dragonfly. That's good. Reservoir burst wasn't doing too much. Hopefully that feels a little better. 2 exotics will be getting some tuning. Dead Man's Tale. We knew this was coming. It's just crushing PvP right now, especially on PC, I think. Is dominant on mouse and keyboard. Yep. Receives frequent critical feedback from players while keeping the fast firing in hip, which we believe is key to feel of the weapon. But with this change, we'll no longer have ADS levels of damage fall off while hip firing. And so we will be subject to fall off much closer. It will also require better aim to land hits while hip firing. We're deliberately only lightly touching ease of use in this change with the goal of not making it harder to use on controller. Removing hip fire damage fall off scaler was 1.8x to match zoom. Aim assist cone angle hip scaler reduced from 1.5 to 1.2. Basically, hip firing is going to be harder, shorter range, and a little less accurate. Probably a good thing. They're probably not trying to kill the weapon. We'll see if it's enough. Sleeper Simulant didn't receive any custom tuning when we did the linear fusion. Basically, the total buff is now going to be 16.5% compared to the 15% buff for linear fusion rifles. Basically, it's just getting the buff that all the other linear fusions got, so now it's going to catch up. And theoretically, it's going to be a potent damage dealer. If you have the catalyst and you've got all the ammo reserves in there, Sleeper Simulant hits hard, could be a beast later on. One of those, like if you take it into a master difficulty weapon or something like that, and you've got a solar burn, especially in like a lost sector, you're going to be putting some damage out. In the near future, we have more changes than usual for a season coming in Season 15. some as follow-ups to the above, and others that were too large for mid-season. Here's a preview of some of the changes. Of course, others expect a new batch of weapons and perks and stuff like that. Fusion rifles. We've been wanting to tackle sub-family differentiation for a while, so we're planning on a large rework of fusion rifles. Changes to fusion rifle perks, mods, and custom tuning exotic fusion rifles. Vex Mythoclast, a fusion rifle? Let's say yes. So Vex will be getting some love. Breach grenade launchers. With the above shotgun changes, we expect other special weapons to increase in usage, and we believe that grenade launchers will have the potential to become more frustrating to play against as they become even slightly more common. So we're planning a small change that specifically touches priming and cleaning up targets. I wonder if it's just going to be slower switching. I'm not sure what they're going to do. Still, they do want you to be able to one hit and single tap. Like if I nail you with a grenade, probably should kill you. But the bounce, the splash damage, that type of stuff does frustrate a lot of people. I guess we'll just have to see what they do. Scout rifles and hand cannons in PvE. Oh my god, scout rifles in PvE? Are you serious? Players have wanted these weapons to be a bit more efficient in PvE for some time. We found that minor enemies in high-end content take too many shots to kill with these enemies, or these weapons. If you could make scouts and hand cannons, maybe, but scouts especially, they take a lot of bullets, so it's always weird. Machine guns in PvE. Through playtesting and player feedback, we found that they're not doing their job well enough. Yeah, machine guns in PvE, outside of Xenophage, machine guns do not feel good. So they're planning a noticeable change in Season 15. Also makes you wonder when they're buffing up certain things, if there's going to be a machine gun coming that they want to make sure shines. Either way, machine guns in PvE, unless you're running like Xenophage, not really great. Any normal looking, big magazine, like 160, whatever, machine gun doesn't really put in that much work. You can unload an entire clip and do like half the damage to like one champion. Machine guns need some love. Special ammo economy, particularly in PvP. While the above changes to shotguns should help tone down aggressive frames a bit, we've got a couple of small changes planned that should reduce the amount of special ammo floating around to a degree, and have further changes in mind in case they're needed. Anarchy. Yeah, this is not surprising. Anarchy has done too much, too well for too many years, without even counting the boost it's gotten this season, which is due to the sweet grenade launcher artifact mods like Breach and Clear and other stuff. Anarchy's kind of a monster. So we're making changes that make it great at a couple roles rather than being the jack of all trades of grenade launchers. I'm honestly this is one of those things. People hate the idea of sunsetting, but when Anarchy just lives in your heavy spot for so long, it's good to have a reason to move it around, and sometimes it just takes bringing it down. So I know this is probably going to annoy a lot of people that Anarchy is going to get a hit, but I'm not surprised as it pretty much lives in most people's slots all the time. They just two-tap with throw the Anarchy shots out there, hide and cover. It's just too powerful, I think. And while it's good, it's kind of too dominant. Exotic primaries. We want to give players more reason to use exotic primaries in high-end PvE content and have changes coming to help with this. That I'm very curious about. You're usually going to use a heavy exotic most of the time. Anarchy being a dominant one, obviously. But I mean, if I'm going to go use Sunshot, I'm taking away my options for any other exotic weapon. So exotic primaries really do need some love. I'll be curious how much they follow through on that. And the more distant future. We'll keep a close eye on special weapons, and we'll make adjustments once we see how they perform in the wild, particularly fusion rifles and grenade launchers. We have an idea of what may need more adjustments as these changes shake out, but we'll wait to discuss them solidly. They're doing these in stages, so if it's not all the way, they've got some other stuff planned that they'll probably roll out later, but they don't want to go way too far too fast and then have to bring it back. Incremental changes. I just wish the incremental changes would be a little faster than every 3 months, but what can you do? We also have a close eye on feedback on exotic weapons and which weapons are under and overperforming. We have some tweaks planned for next week in season. We have some tweaks planned next week in season 15 and beyond, which should shake things up. Note that we specifically look at Catalyst as a way to buff underused exotics. For example, that's why we made Catalyst for Trinity Ghoul and Deathbringer, so expect similar reasoning moving forward. Trinity Ghoul is a game changer with that Catalyst, so things like that I like. It makes you kind of earn the exotic, go back, use it a bit more, and then unlocks the potential. So I'm okay with doing that as long as it gives it a cool buff. At the risk of being vague, we also have long-term plans to address the issues of exotic orb generation and kill trackers without making catalyst for every exotic in the game. That would be nice, because unless there's a catalyst and you masterwork the exotic, you can't make orbs, which is a crucial piece to especially high-level play. So that's nice to see that they mention it. And there you have it. As Chris mentioned, there's a bit of a merely meaty mid-season update. While the patch notes list isn't the longest you've seen, it's a pretty chunky one, for sure. Shotguns, grenade launchers, a lot of things being looked at. Another patch note preview. Along the Sandbox update, we have a slew of bug fixes that will go out on Tuesday. So that's going to be on the 6th. Shout out to my wife's birthday. Here's a quick list of high priority changes to expect next Tuesday. In Styx, fixed an issue where the Code Strider platform over the boss would fail to have collision in certain circumstances. Tartarus fixed an issue where the Code Strider platform would fail to have collision in certain... Yeah, I've fallen through those things multiple times. Fixed an issue where defeating the boss too quickly would block mission completion. Yep, had that happen. In Strikes, the Inverted Spire fixed an issue where players who died on the drill area could have their ghosts appear far back in the strike. Ghosts now appear at set safe location in the drill area. Momentum control, that's the PvP mode, decreased trace rifle damage in momentum control. Yeah, that basically turned into laser tag. While we know trace rifles are too hot, we also are aware some players are greatly enjoying laser tag and momentum right now. With that in mind, we're starting out with a small change to see how it feels. Laser tag's fun, it's nice to mix it up, but yeah, it's kind of broken. You had to like 3 or 4 tap them, like, bzz, and they were dead. Gameplay fixed an issue with slow duration of Withering Blade. Did not increase with Whisper of Durance. Fixed an issue where Stormcaller Warlocks were unable to use Ionic Blink. That kind of sucked. Fixed an issue where Diamond Lance could be generated by throwing a Glacier Grenade into a pile of Telesto project. Telesto always breaks stuff. It's too funny. Fixed a bug in which abilities were not properly costing Sentinel Shield energy when guarding. Celestial Fire, Withering Blade. Interesting. So big patch notes are going to come on Tuesday. This is probably one of the beefier mid-season patches we're going to get. And, you know, you got patches, so downtime is going to be pretty standard, it looks like. So it's your usual 15-minute download the patch, you're good to go. So that'll happen on Tuesday. Below are some issues that will be resolved. PlayStation consoles to see Beagle errors. Assassin's Cowl no longer clipping. Gunsmith weapons will no longer be missing Masterwork slots. That's a good thing. Armor with glows will properly display their glow in transmog. Cool. Bungie Store beta. Looks like we've got that going on. Solstice of Heroes. They've got some issues they know coming up with that. Mostly stuff. You've got your movies of the week and your artist of the week. Always nice to see the shoutouts. Earlier this week, it was remarkably warm in our neck of the woods. Felt a bit like murkier outside. Yeah, so yeah, it was like 107 in Seattle. Parts of the upper west coast, like Oregon, had 115 degrees. Just stupidly hot. Thankfully, coastal winds made their way through the city and cooled it down a bit. Planning to spend some time in Iron Banner this weekend. Pretty standard stuff. So that's it for you. And the biggest thing is Solstice of Heroes starts next week, along with Master Difficulty raids. You're going to be dealing with Eva Levante. You're going to have a lot of bounties, a lot of little things to work on. You're going to be up in the European aerial zone, as we have been before. You're going to be upgrading your armor from blue to like legendary to the upgraded version of legendary, and then the master rigging takes the final things. You've got a shotgun that you can earn, and you've actually got a shirt you can get. The shirt I actually always try going for because I enjoy all the Bungie shirts. That one actually looks pretty cool. You got a ghost you can get. You got your armor, so you guys can see that's the solar version, for example. That looks like Arc. That's probably Stasis or Void. It doesn't look that purple on my screen, but I can't tell. That's definitely Arc. And then you've got a guide, stuff you want to go through. If you want to go through that one, you can see you've got your Solstice key fragments, your packages, shotgun. This is the stuff that you'll be able to basically buy from Eva Levante as you pick stuff up. You've got the armor sets, and then you've also, if you do this for other characters, it was advantageous for you to do one character all the way through last year. And then if you got that first character through, the second character went even faster, and the third character went even faster than that. So if you do one character all the way through first, everything gets successively faster, so it's not as bad on future characters. You got your ghost, looks like we've got an emblem. You got your bounties, the usual stuff, and you got some issues. So overall, that pretty much covers it. I know there's about a 30-minute video, but there's a lot of stuff coming next week. Some is boring patch notes for some, but master difficulty on raids you guys may be looking forward to. Solstice of Heroes, I will get the guide out going through basically all the requirements for you guys and tips at making the orbs and stuff you're going to have to do, where you need to farm all this stuff. So look for those guides next week. Tuesday is my wife's birthday. I'll see if I can get the video out or not, but it just kind of depends on how the day goes. I may have to wait a day. But either way, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like below. Leave a comment if you have thoughts about anything I just read off to you guys. If you're new to the channel, I do a lot of Destiny guides, Lost Sector guides, a whole bunch of random stuff. So if you like that type of stuff, sometimes news things when they're this big. So hit a subscribe button on that channel. You guys can also hit that alert bell for other guides to come to you. You can also find me on Twitter and streaming on Twitch. I stream Destiny and a variety of other things as well. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon.